welcome to the next video in the My Guy Rob series. My name, as always, is Robert Mack, partner here at Kurlander, Burton Mack in San Francisco. And today for our video, we are going to discuss QME appointments in the workers' compensation arena. QME appointments are probably one of the most important events that will happen in any workers' compensation claim. And I want to just kind of go over the basics with you, let you know what you need to expect, and what you need to do on your part to make sure you have the best outcome. So first of all, what is a QME? QME stands for Qualified Medical Evaluator. A QME is a doctor that's chosen to evaluate you for your injuries. Now, this doctor is not going to be a treater for you. What they are going to do is they are going to just evaluate your injuries and give us opinions about your case. We call these evaluations that you undergo with the QME a med-legal evaluation, or that's short for medical legal evaluation. And the reason we call them that is because this doctor not only acts as a doctor that is assessing your medical condition, but they also act essentially as a judge because they give the attorneys and the adjuster and the insurance company the information that we need to litigate your claim and hopefully bring it to a resolution. So this doctor, they're not going to sit there and offer any treatment to you at that time. What they're really just going to do is take a bird's eye view of your condition, write a lengthy report that allows the parties to figure out what needs to be done in your case. Often this doctor usually sees you once, maybe twice. In more complex cases, more times than that, but generally speaking, the QME will only see you once or twice. So this is not a doctor you're going to have a long-standing relationship at, unlike your personal doctor or your surgeon or some specialist. This is just a doctor that just evaluates you. You might see once or twice in the whole case. As part of the system, the QME is supposed to be neutral, and as a part of that, you are not allowed to have any contact with the doctor outside of those appointments when you go to see him, which is very different than your normal doctor, which you can call, email, whatever. You cannot do that with the QME, and neither can I, neither can the insurance company. The QME is neutral, so there's only a few different ways that you can communicate with them, and for the patient, the only time you can communicate with them is at the actual appointment. Now, oftentimes, my clients are very concerned that, this doctor is working for the insurance company. And the reality is that's not true. These doctors are supposedly neutral. While I think there is some conflict of interest because they're paid by the insurance company, it does you no good to worry about that. You need to go in there with a clear head, explain your problems, and not think that this doctor is actually working for the insurance company, because they're not. They are there as a neutral party that helps the parties settle the case, gives the injured worker the information he or she needs in order to get more treatment or to get their case resolved. So don't worry if you think that this doctor was chosen by the insurance company or it's the insurance company's doctor. That's not really the case. The way that the doctor is chosen is a panel of 3 doctors is given to both the injured worker and the insurance company, and then the doctor is chosen off that panel. And that panel is randomly generated based on what type of injuries you have and where you live. So it's not a doctor that the insurance company just goes out and picks. The injured worker or the injured worker's attorney does have a say in who that doctor is. Again, it does you no good to worry about if this doctor works for the insurance company or not. They don't. And you don't want to go in there being skeptical, because doctors don't like it when you're skeptical of their decisions, skeptical of their motives. One of the main roles that I have in this is I help select which QME doctor is going to do the evaluation. It's important that you have someone who knows what they're doing select the doctor, or help select the doctor, because you want to make sure the doctor has a good reputation for understanding workers' compensation law, understanding the rules, making sure that this type of doctor who has a reputation for giving injured workers their fair shot. So I spend a lot of time at my practice picking QMEs and figuring out which doctors I think are best for my clients. So you need an experienced attorney involved in that process, or you might run the risk of being evaluated by a doctor who is known to be unfriendly to injured workers, or one that's new to the system, doesn't understand the rules, which can cause delays. So choosing the QME is one of the most important parts of the case, as well as the actual QME evaluation itself, which you're going to be undergoing. As some mechanics to the evaluation, prior to the evaluation, the insurance company is required to send medical records to the QME. Some doctors review those records before the actual appointment. Some doctors review it after. I'm not really sure it necessarily makes a difference, but all your medical records from your case are supposed to be sent to the QME prior to attending the QME appointment. Also, each side, and by that I mean the insurance company and your attorney, will also have the opportunity to send letters to the QME prior to your appointment explaining the situation, explaining what happened in the case, explaining what happened with your treatment. So the doctor should have a decent understanding of your situation prior to you coming in. You don't need to bring any medical records with you. They will be sent prior to you attending. Also, the time length of these appointments varies quite substantially depending on what kind of injuries you have. If you have a mental health issue and a psychologist is going to evaluate you, those might take 6 hours. They could take all day. But if you just have a pretty standard knee injury, the evaluation might only take an hour because there won't be that many tests that the doctor needs to run. Overall, the biggest thing you need to know about these appointments and what you need to do is that you need to be your own biggest advocate in these situations. You need to be able to walk in there, carefully, fully, and explicitly explain all the troubles that you've had, how you got injured, how you're doing now, how you were doing when you got injured, what kind of medical treatment you've received. You're not a doctor, so you don't need to walk in there and have a perfect diagnosis of your situation, but you do need to be able to explain your complaints, explain how they make sense, explain how this injury has impacted not only your job, but also your real life. Things like sleeping and pain management, these sort of things are very big deals to all my clients, and it's important that you explain these to the QME when you go to the appointment. After the appointment, the QME has 30 days to write a report. Now, this might seem like a long time to a lot of people, but the reality is these reports are quite substantial. They review all your medical records, and then they write a report that can be, 20, 40, even more pages. So it does take some time to write the report. During the COVID crisis, which is happening now and hopefully will be over soon, it's been extended to 45 days, but generally speaking, they have 30 days to author this report after you go and see them for your appointment. In that report, they're not just going to write what their medical opinion is as to what diagnosis they give you, but quite a few other things. They also have to say if your injury is related to your job or not. That's part of being the judge and not just the doctor. They also have to say what work restrictions they think you have. They might also say you need to undergo further testing like an MRI, an X-ray, CT scan, whatever. They also are going to say whether or not they think you're permanent and stationary. That's something I've discussed in my other videos and in my blog on my website, so you can go check that out if you're interested to learn more about permanent and stationary. They also need to say what percentage of your current conditions related to your job injury and what was pre-existing. If you have pre-existing injuries, they need to review your medical record and make that determination. That is also part of being the judge in the case and not just the doctor. They also need to say if you can return to your previous job and a few other things as well. So as you can see, it's a much more comprehensive report than your normal doctor gives you. And it's important that when you go, you just go with an open mind, tell them your complaints, and let them act as the doctor. Now, at some point after the release their report, either the insurance company or your attorney might have some issues with the report, and at that point there might become some issues and litigation and all that. But for you, you just go in there, explain yourself, be your best advocate, explain how it's impacted your life, and that'll give you the best shot to come out on top. Also, just generally speaking, once we receive the QME report, that kind of gives us the roadmap for your case. The QME might say you need more time to recover, might say you need more treatment, or they might say this is the end of the road for your case. So we won't know until we get that QME report exactly where the case is headed. But once we get the QME report, usually at that point, we can at least kind of foresee into the future a little bit about what's next in the case. That's the basics of the QME evaluation. Again, they are not just a doctor, they're also kind of the judge in your case. So it's very important that the correct QME is selected. That's where your attorney comes into play. Make sure that you have an attorney that knows the different doctors in your region. Also, don't be worried that the doctor works for the insurance company. That's not how this works. You just go in there, advocate for yourself, give yourself the best shot, and everything will be fine, hopefully. So thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you watch all the other videos in the My Guy Rob series. Once again, my name is Robert Mack, partner here at Kurlander, Burton Mack in San Francisco, and I hope you have a wonderful day.